Today I'm going over Marcus and going over his abilities, cards, what all the cards mean. Some of them don't read, some will be going into what they actually do, and also best card setups. To start off, we have his ultimate ability, which is his Living Legend. Automatically fire at the heads of enemies in sight. Any allies in cover with you will do the same. So you don't need to be in cover to use his Living Legend, but if you are in cover and you have somebody with you in cover right next to you pretty much, then not only will you get all headshots, but they will also get the reap the benefit of the Living Legend and also get all headshots. Great if you're going to post up for a Foz to post up with you. If you have a good Foz with you, he can do a lot of damage too. His passive ability is damage you take slowly recharges your ultimate. So the more damage you take, the more time you get shaved off towards your next ultimate. Now, I'm fairly aggressive with my Marcus, and even if I'm playing on Insane, Inconceivable, Master, I'm staying in cover, and I'm running the Claw and just burning through the clip. As long as there's enemies, I'll burn through the whole 200 as I have the 100% extra. So as long as you're aggressive and you're basically pushing yourself to the point of not dying or not going down, but trying to kill as much as you can, like you'll push it to where you know you're gonna get registered, avoid the sniper fire, whatever, then you should get a lot of Living Legends. This is actually really easy to acquire. I've used my Living Legend in the start of the wave and didn't have it do so well, and I've gotten that Living Legend back within the same wave. I've actually done that a couple of times. Usually I'll average 2 waves. Sometimes I get it 3. I don't think it's ever more than that. Except like on the really early waves when there's no enemies or the sentry kills all the enemies. On the higher waves, yeah, getting it right back. So to start off, we have the defensive stim, which is stim capacity is increased. Now this card is completely useless without Band of Brothers. You can't have your stim capacity increased when this is the only card that generates stim for Marcus. Only other way you could get this card without using this one is if you duplicated Marcus while it's currently active, the duplication glitch. Pressing A, spamming A, and getting in the game, and having 2 characters that are Marcus, and then he got in cover while using that card, and you got in cover, and you would reap the benefit. So, yeah, this card is a combo. You need to wait till you have Band of Brothers before you can use this card. Extended Rifle Mag does not, we'll start off with how it reads. It reads Larger Assault Rifle Magazine. So, it says Lancer, Hammerburst, and Enforcer, but it also works with the Retro Lancer, the Claw, and the Lancer GL. And in a good team, you should have a JD that's gonna make you die a couple of times or blow himself with frags, whatever, and give you some GLs or buy them if you got the money ready at the end of the game and you lose one. And we got Band of Brothers, which is Living Legend generates stim per second. Now this stim that it generates at 25 is pretty insignificant, but if you can keep the Living Legend going, I've already tested this out about half a dozen times, and I mean, it's let me keep my Living Legend going a little bit longer, especially like in the 30s and 40s when I take that hit. I got a little bit extra, which allowed me to keep it going for longer without having to back off. So, when these cards are high, I'll get into the old combos and the setups you can run in a second, but that's what that does. So we have Rifle Feedback, which is rifle hits increase Living Legend time by 48%. Now it's very worth noting that the Lancer does not increase it that much, and the weapon that you want to use for your Living Legend is the Claw. The Claw seems to really increase your Living Legend per hit, and it's very easy if you lose enemies in sight. Say you got like 20% on your Living Legend left, and you try to go in with the Lancer, but you're getting hits. By the time you reload that Lancer, you've already lost your Living Legend. If you've done it with the Claw, you're basically back to full by the time you need to reload or switch to your Lancer. So definitely the Claw is the optimal weapon to use with your Living Legend. Not to mention that you can easily get the 10% for 1,000, get that early so you do a little bit more damage with it on wave 8. And you can really go in with the Claw. That's what I'll do. I go with that and the GL because I'm always with teams where the JD will give me a GL, make me a 2. I run 2 Claws and 2 GLs. Get on to the next card, which is Custom Lancer, which is increased damage and active effects. Now this also does work with the grenade launcher of the custom GL. So if you do use a setup that I just recommended, you will reap the benefit on the grenade launcher, and if you do the active on the grenade launcher, you can really make the grenade launcher hurt, because an active on the grenade launcher will take this 30%, and then the damage you're doing will actually times it by about 2. So that's really sweet. Epic score boost, it increases the team's score. Brutal efficiency, chainsaw kills, recharge living legend. Last ditch is increased damage when Marcus has low health. Now the old heavy, I don't know if you're familiar with Gears of War 4, wasn't that great, but this isn't that bad. This is increased damage when Marcus has less than 80% health. So pretty much any hit that you get on a high level difficulty that puts you in a red immediately gives you the bonus. Low level difficulties, it's not that hard to get below 80%. So this card all around, it's not that bad. Dug in, you take less damage. Now this is all damage. This is explosive, all damage across the board. It gets removed by X. Explosive resistance, this reduces damage from explosives. Friendly fire, living legend, radius is increased. Now I don't know about you, but I have absolutely no problem with the standard living legend. I would not recommend using this card in any regard. I mean, you could hit more targets, that's for sure. You wouldn't have to move your cursor a little bit. But as far as keeping it going, I see no point to the card, but that's what it does. Lancer stock reduces Lancer recoil. So your recoil on your Lancer is going to be reduced. Score boost, once again, that increases team score. Now on to the setups that you can run. The best beginner setup that I can tell you is the extended rifle magazine, and whether you have a JD to give you the Lancer or not, you're going to run the Claw and you're going to run the Lancer if not, or the Claw and the Retro Lancer if not. And if you got the GL, then obviously you're going to be running the Claw and the GL. Also, you're going to be running rifle feedback. This allows you to keep your living legend going longer, get more kills. Definitely a good card, especially if you time your living legend for when there's a group of enemies or a Scion where you can go get it in on the Scion and most likely get it on a bunch of drones behind him and go in. That is definitely a good card to put on once you get it. Custom Lancer, another card that you should be running in the beginning of the game. Last Ditch is another card for the early setup. Increased damage when Marcus health is low. Once again, it's not that hard to get below 80% health. Any hit on a high level wave is going to do it immediately if it doesn't immediately down you. So, very good card. And Dug In is your other early game card. Now you could actually take this exact setup late game too, these three, and run Last Ditch and Dug In. It's actually an excellent setup. As far as I can tell, because my cards are only 1 and 2 at the moment, anybody watching this who happens to have a Marcus with like 4s and 5s or 3s to 5s and has input on how they're liking it, would love to hear from you. At the moment, even with the 1 and 2, I'm liking it. It's really good. I don't really need the Dug In. I prefer, unless I'm on like Inconceivable or Insane on the highways, or it's just really convenient to post up somewhere. I'm moving around them like a little bit more stationary and just popping in and out and trying to put as many shots as in. So I'm not really trying to use like the Dug In cover boost. I would like to use this, but it's a 2-card combo and you can't drop any of these 3. I highly recommend not dropping these 3. But yeah, the stem isn't that bad. You can get the stem fairly quickly, especially if you're using the Claw and you use the Claw as your primary living legend weapon. And if it runs out of ammo, just immediately switch to whatever Lancer you got and then go in with the Lancer. Doing that, you can easily keep your stem up. It's going to allow you to take a hit or 2 more. And when it's done, if you haven't gone down, then you got a stem. Like, you won't even notice it. You'll be red, and then when the red wears off, then you got that stem. Because you have to heal fully to see it. So if you heal fully and you haven't taken another hit, then you'll notice that you have a stem. So it's a pretty cool setup. I am very looking forward to seeing it at the high levels. So right now, I would definitely recommend one of the 2 setups. Try them both out. If you're already at 16, see which one you like better. I hope that helps.